Welcome to the Peter Stevens Motorcycles Vic MX Recap Show, presented by Moto Cred. Peter Stevens Motorcycles have been supporting grassroots racing for 50 years and continue to do so into 2024 with the Peter Stevens Victorian Motocross Championship. Peter Stevens have over 6 locations with Ringwood and Dandenong in the southeast of Melbourne, Geelong and Adelaide, along with the new stores. PS are now in Perth and coming soon to Western Sydney. Stocking all major apparel and parts brands, manufacturers and more, Peter Stevens, everything for the ride. Presented by Moto Cred. Moto Cred have over 600 products to suit your bike, from tools, stands, foot pegs, levers, and everything else to bling out your dirt bike. To view the range, visit www.motocred.com.au.
My name's Cooper Danaher, and you're listening to the Peter Stevens Vic MX Recap Show.
There were times I was lost, dark had fear, couldn't see through the rain. In the end it was clear, hit the fan. I was more than one man who was there to lend a hand. Together we'd stand, always had my back, my guardian soldier. Team pulled together, united we conquer. Blessed is he who in the name of charity carry me when I'm weak straight through the valley of darkness. Pitch blackness, the heartless, regardless, fear couldn't part us. Thick and thin, there by my side. At times we collide, but in the end we ride. Thick and thin, there by my side. At times we collide, but in the end we ride. We ride, 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 ride. I am my brother's keeper. Keep on holding strong. United we stand, divided we fall. Together we belong. I am my brother's keeper. Keep on holding strong. United we stand, divided we fall. Together we belong. I am my brother's keeper. I am my brother's keeper. I am my brother's keeper.
Welcome back, Moto fans. This is the Peter Stevens Vic MX Recap Show, presented by Moto Cred and available on the Inside Dirt networks, as well as via Mental for Moto on all good podcast platforms. On behalf of Mental for Moto, I am your host, Pete Wolf. Joining me on the line to chat all things round 2 of the Senior Vic titles, which took place at Ballarat last weekend, is my co-host for this show, Peter Stevens' very own Dean Mosig. What's going on, Dino?
Hey, Pete. Yeah, still on a bit of a high from how cool the weekend was, man. That was a ripper round of racing.
It definitely was. And given that we're now into winter, we were blessed with some pretty reasonable weather, both in the lead up and over the weekend. But man, how cold is Ballarat?
Oh man, you hit the nail on the head with that place. I don't think I've ever been warm in Ballarat, and I've definitely had a couple of mud races at that track that I'm pretty keen to forget about. That is not an enjoyable track in the mud for anyone that's raced it. They'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. Yeah,
I reckon my sat-nav got it wrong. I'm pretty confident that place is in the middle of Antarctica. Like Saturday was cold and Sunday was like half the temperature again. So
yeah, even when the sun was out, it was cold, man. Yeah.
I must say though that the Arctic temperatures aside, it's been my favourite round of the Vic so far. I reckon we had 210 class entries for the round, so the gates were solid, but not chock a block. However, there was still some pretty amazing racing, wasn't there?
Definitely, yeah. I think the track conditions allowed for that too. I think, Pete, with the way that they prepared it, the way that it rutted up and formed up, it had every corner had options and lines, and it gave people an opportunity to be creative and I guess showcase their racecraft rather than just to follow the leader track sometimes. It was good to see riders getting creative and jumping over bumps and taking different lines. And the racecraft that I seen on display was probably the beneficiary of the way that the track was prepared, man. So I agree. It was actually a very exciting round of racing to watch.
Totally. I think that was pretty much the main topic that we'll cover when we get into the actual racing shortly. Was the battles. There was just battles in every class, and definitely it was mixed up a little bit. There was not as many riders that went sort of 1-1-1 or 2-2-2. Yeah, there was a lot of mixed results, which, like you said, was I think testament to the track. You've raced Ballarat before. In the lead up, I was told that it's either hard pack baked out or a bog hole. So, it was a really pleasant surprise to see the way that the track was, even when we got there on Saturday morning.
I'd lean towards it more being a pleasant relief than anything. We had quite a lot of rain in Melbourne on the Thursday.
Yeah.
And I was anxiously watching Weather Zone in between taking phone calls throughout the day, contemplating whether or not I would make the right decision. But again, it was rip. I raced that track for a couple of years in a row when I did Western Regions.
Yep.
2012, 13, and maybe 14. And honestly, I don't think I've ever ridden that track that good. So
that was the consensus across pretty much every single rider that I spoke to that had been there before.
Yep. 2 for 2 so far. MVMX. That's the strike rate for great tracks and great events is 2 for 2 for sure.
Yeah, and it's such a scenic track. Like, I would love to see a national there after watching all the racing that took place over the weekend. Obviously they probably have to widen it up a little bit, but beyond that, have you been to Glen Helen?
Yes.
Yeah.
I rode Glen Helen in January.
It reminded me like from what I've seen on TV, like a mini Glen Helen with those uphills and downhills.
Oh, visually, but not actually. Yeah.
Can edit this out.
those hills at Glen Helen are borderline scary. Yeah. There's one in particular that goes back roaring down the hill under the big Yamaha overpass, and every time I went down that, I was a passenger. I may as well have had my eyes closed.
Yeah.
But it's exhilarating. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Like a lot of the American tracks have a lot of elevation, uphills, downhills, off cambers, and I think it really resembles one of those tracks. Even more like a Euro, like a GP track. And a lot of our tracks in Victoria don't actually have a lot of elevation. We've got Broadford. We used to have Barrable.
Yep.
I can't think of many other tracks outside of maybe Blue Rock that have a lot of elevation like that. So that's what makes it exciting.
Yeah, for sure. And, for me, I swear that those hills got steeper as the weekend went on. Like, I walked up and down them about 400 times, and someone was tweaking that altimeter, I think, as it got it got steeper and steeper as the weekend went on.
Yeah, and rougher and rougher.
Yeah. But to me, like, those downhills actually seemed pretty steep, compared to a lot of the tracks that we normally go to. That elevation, it made for a different track and definitely added a different level to some of the racing as well.
Yeah, I agree. And those kind of tracks demand a certain level of finesse and bike skill.
Yep.
You definitely can't rush a track like that. You've got to go sometimes a little bit slower to go a bit faster to carry your roll speed to, not use all your energy. I found my first moto, I used too much energy trying to get around a couple of guys that were a bit slower at the start, and I hit a wall mid-moto because I'd used too much energy trying to race the track rather than trying to ride the track, find that flow state and just click off laps.
Yeah.
And I realized the second moto I couldn't do that. I couldn't race the track. I could race it, but I had to really find a flow and make good line choices. And otherwise, I'd tire out too quick, Pete. You know what I mean? Because it is so steep, and you're hanging on, and you're bombing it down the hill, and you're pulling up hard on the brakes. You've got to be kind of energy conscious, especially as a vet rider. It's different. If you're riding MX3 and you've had a can of Coke before the moto, you're not even going to sleep that night. But, it's different for me. I've got to be a lot more conservative. And that kind of track really stimulates me. And I really, really enjoyed racing that track. And Portland for the same reason, because of the ruts and the technicality of it.
Yeah.
It's great, man.
Yeah, as far as, taking photos and video, I would have to say that Ballarat was probably my favourite track that I've been to probably ever, like this weekend. I think from that perspective, like, from all the Pro MX, the Vics and local races and regional races that I've been to, I just thought, it was so scenic, and it made for such good photography and videography as well. And I love those downhills, man, like trying to capture the riders bombing down them, like you said, when it's rough and the bike's dancing around, and then, they're on the brakes at the bottom trying to prepare for the ruts. It's, for a fan, it's just something to watch.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, man. I'm glad you enjoyed it, mate.
No. Well, that's I enjoy them all, but yeah, that was just something else. All right, well, let's get into some of the racing. So on the Saturday, we had the All Powers, the Vets, and the women's classes. And just like with some of the junior Vics, there's a lot of overlap in the seniors between the All Powers and the MX1 and MX2 classes, which run on the Sunday, with many riders sort of using that All Powers class to familiarise themselves with the track. So we'll start with the Saturday classes anyway. In the All Powers C, Jack Silcock took it out over Caden Raymond and Axel Martin. I think you mentioned Axel when we were just talking off air.
Yes, I did. Yeah, Axel and Steve are friends of mine, and are essentially business partners through City MX and Peter Stevens. So, I've always got an eye on Axel, and he's an emerging talent too, man. He's definitely got some of his dad's racecraft and desire to win. So yeah, it's exciting watching him come through the ranks.
Yeah, I think those guys like up the pointy end of the All Power C grade were all riding amazing. I think if they keep going, obviously we'll see them in B grade. Yeah, in no time.
It's funny you say that, Pete. So a couple of times it's been brought to my attention now that some of the lap times that the C grade guys are doing this year are on par with some of the A grade guys.
Yeah.
Some of those guys in C grade were doing, sub 2 minute lap times. I was 2 minutes at my very best. So it's really impressive to see how fast some of these. I guess everybody likes to slag on being a C grader, but man, everybody starts from somewhere. And if these guys are starting with that kind of pace, imagine when they do get to A grade, man. Yeah. That's another exciting prospect to watch.
Yeah, and I'm one that is always conscious of sandbagging in those, and it happens in every sport, and it happens in our sport a little bit in C grade. But like you said, some of those riders that are going that fast too, because I've spoken to a few of them. Some of them have only been riding or racing for like a year or two, and that's so they should be in C grade. But like you said, they're just pulling out some lap times and have got some skills that are just on a different level.
And if I think I could even go deeper on that, I think the difference has become, we're in the age of information, and 10, 15 years ago, we didn't have examples like Jet Lawrence and things like that, but B, we didn't have the access to watch it either.
Yep.
If these guys are on their Instagram, the average, teenage guy, whatever, is on their Instagram like 5 hours a day or something, the statistic is. And if they're watching that over and over and their brains are developing the understanding of that's how to ride a motorcycle, whoa, that whole age of information concept of what they're exposing their brains to and just how much of it they're watching every day on their phones or whatever.
Yeah, and combined with that, I think the science of motocross is a lot more accessible now too, and it's much easier to understand with all the technology that we have as well. So that's, I think that just complements what you said, the access to information.
Yep. And technique is a lot more prominent, I guess, in people's approach to riding these days, rather than slugging it out in the gym and training yourself into the ground and being physically fit. A lot of even the guys at the Baker's factory in the States and all that now, their programs have shifted away from, harsh cardiovascular off-bike training to technique focus on the motorcycle and things like that. So that's also been a transition within the industry that I think is helping elevate the level.
Yeah, most definitely. All right, well, on that note, we'll move on to the next class, the All Powers B grade. So that was taken out by Oskar Kimber, who we'll hopefully be able to hear from a little bit later. Austin Boyd finished up second for the weekend with Charlie Roos in third. How good were those battles especially between Oskar Kimber and Austin Boyd over the weekend?
And down to the wire too. That All Powers B class was probably my favourite class to watch.
Yeah.
And because of those three too, Austin Boyd had great starts and led for most of the races, and they traded paint towards the end, and Oskar got him, I think, on the last lap or second last.
Yeah, last lap.
2 or 3 turns.
Yeah.
2 or 3 turns to go, even, I think it was. Just the intensity down to the wire.
Yeah. So he got him in motos 1 and 2. Yeah. On the last lap.
Yeah, I did see that. And little Charlie Roos, man, he's a hero. He's
what a
fan favorite.
Yeah,
favorite of mine, man. He obviously a Peter Stevens rider,
yep.
and his whole family are lovely and really, really a part of our, PS little family, I like to call it, sort of thing. So to see Charlie, he actually got really hurt earlier in the year.
Yeah.
Down at Rosebud, and was really sort of down in the dumps, and he had expectations of a wonderful season, and he's rebounded and he's picked up right where he left off, maybe even better. He's and again, another one that I really enjoyed to watch because of his fundamentals on the bike. He was standing up through the ruts. He was on the balls of his feet. He wasn't over revving the bike. He was in a taller gear, very European, very like Jorge Prado sort of, another level of technicality that, was a real pleasure to watch, especially at his age too. He was riding like a seasoned vet as a kid under the age of 18. So, awesome class to watch.
Yeah, and I mentioned it in the round one recap show. He rode 3 classes over the weekend. Like, what a savage, on the 250, the 450. He's not a big guy either.
No.
Like, just on a track like that, you experienced it firsthand, but what a savage.
Yep, and a heart of gold, man. So
Yeah, no, for sure. And I'm pretty sure, I'd have to go back and look, I'm pretty sure he podiumed in every class that he raced. So, yeah,
doesn't surprise me, man.
Pretty amazing effort. All right, All Powers A grade. So round one winner in the All Powers A grade, Wilson Greener-Daish. He had a massive crash on that big downhill table. Did you catch that one?
No, so 30 plus expert was the next race after. So A grade was on the line and we were in the chutes behind them. So where I know where he crashed, I actually seen that kicker in practice. Right in the middle. That was a sort of technical jump at the top of the hill. You come as you're turning out, you had to sort of seat bounce it and then, land down the hill and attack. And if you hit that kicker while you were seat bouncing it, I can already see what happened in my mind. Because I almost did it myself. They ended up making a big rut sort of around it, and you sort of knew not to hit the kicker after the first moto. But that's such a shame, man, because he was in a league of his own too. Though the way that he dominated at Portland, he very much looked like he was set to do the same thing at Ballarat.
Well, I saw that one, and it's pretty much exactly like you said. He just got the kick up the backside from the back of the bike, and the big panic rev, and he landed on the front wheel very, very nose down, and kind of front wheel manualed for probably 2 or 3 meters before the front wheel turned and he cartwheeled. I actually was really, really worried for him. But it's so good to see that he was up and he was walking around for the rest of the weekend, even on Sunday. So he was obviously very banged up and didn't ride again. But otherwise, it was so glad to see him walk away from that one.
Yeah, that's one of those nightmare crashes. Especially because the way that down ramp drops down the hill, it's actually, like you mentioned, it's really steep. So, not only you've jumped a tabletop and then the ground's falling away from you pretty much as you're heading down, and as you land, you've got quite a bit of speed. And to be out of control over the bars in that part of the track, I can only imagine his poor little heart was racing. And unfortunately, I'm glad I didn't see it, to be honest, Pete. Where the start line is, you can't quite see that jump. So I didn't even know what had happened until I seen that he DNF'd. So glad to hear he's okay.
No, for sure. Well, what it did do, it opened the door for a couple of other riders though. Ty Keane, who didn't race at round one, he looked amazing on the 450 to take out the win for the weekend in the All Powers A grade. What did you think of Ty? Did you get to see any of his racing at all?
I did, yeah. So I could see. I was impressed by the pro enduro guy we had, Andy Wilkich. Is it Wilkich? Wilch, sorry, on the beta. He traded, they were trading plastic for a fair bit of the moto before Ty eventually broke away. But I actually didn't realise he was racing. I said, there's a guy with a headlight out there in A grade and he's winning.
So that's Emma Milosevich's husband?
Yeah. I'm familiar with who he is. He's one of the Fox riders for the off-road team. But Man, I didn't see that coming, man. He was really impressive too.
Yeah, and so she told me that, speaking to him between motos, that he absolutely loved, taking it to the motocross track. And apparently his bike was running still full enduro spec.
You could see it, man. It looked like it was like full soft enduro suspension. I seen him coming down the hills, hitting the jumps, and I knew. I said that I actually picked him out of the crowd because I could see his bike characteristics were not traditionally motocross ones. That bike was jumping all over the place, and he was making it work, man. I really enjoyed watching the enduro guy go out there and hammer it down.
Man, imagine when he gets a few more motocross races under his belt and he gets a bike that's set up for moto. He's definitely going to be a cat amongst the pigeons, that's for sure.
For sure. Yeah, that was really, really good to see that.
Yeah, really impressive. And Jacob Sweet, he rounded out the podium to add to his third place from round one. He now leads the All-Power A-Grade Championship by 25 points over Cooper Kreslik. So
awesome.
Yeah, well done to Jacob.
Yep, for sure.
Yep. In the MXW class, Emma Milicevic was out for redemption after round one. And didn't she make a statement?
She did. Yeah, she was on a move. I think she had also come off racing the MX2 class at Maitland Pro MX.
Correct.
Yep. Literally, I think the week before. So she'd been obviously in really good form to be in that class and being competitive. So yes, I think she just brought a head full of confidence into Ballarat and definitely made her presence known with that number one plate.
Yeah, I spoke to her a few times at Portland, and even though she got second and, she battled for wins and traded a bit of paint with Maddie Healy there, my sense was that she really wasn't happy with the second place. So I think she came into this round, ready to rock. And, not taking anything away from Maddie Healy, she rode amazing as well. She just couldn't match the pace at Ballarat. And, as a bit of a testament to Emma's pace, she ended up with a top 10 in MX2 A grade on the Sunday. So
yeah, wow.
She was moving. I think she got her best moto finish was a 7th, and she ended up with a 9th overall. So
yeah, that's super impressive, man.
And there's over 20 riders on the gate. So she was moving all weekend.
Yep, that's really cool to see too. The Milicevics are a great family. I've raced a little bit against Joel in the Western region years, and I've helped him out at a few riding schools and that, but they've always been such a friendly family. Big fan of Emma. She's a great, awesome rider and a lovely person.
Yeah, totally agree. And Kaylee Cameron, she got another solid finish with third place. She had some ripper starts, and she actually managed to stick with Maddie for a lap or two in the last moto, which is really promising because it's just her first year in the expert class as well.
Yeah, that's impressive. Like I was saying, the pace was pretty high, and I think for everyone that had a good day and could take something from Ballarat confidence-wise, is a big asset. And if she could walk away from that round knowing that, hey, I can run the pace, even if it is for one lap, it'd be interesting to see where people's heads are at coming into round 3 and in a few weeks, rolling off a bit of momentum. That'll be good for everyone.
Yeah, I was filming an episode of Moto Life with her on the Saturday as well, so I managed to video those starts. Like, her jumps out of the gate were just, they were on another level, and I think that was the best I've seen Kaylee ride. So yeah, well done to her.
Awesome, man.
In the women's clubman class, Amelia Nash took the win with Carla Burns in second and Claire Montgomery in third. Again, we've said it about just about every class, but there were some really good battles in the women's clubman class as well between Claire Montgomery, Anastasia Sarakesis, and Chloe Park. They were all swapping paint in every moto as well.
That's good, man. Yeah, rubbing is racing.
Yeah, it definitely. When you're out there, it makes the day go pretty quick watching them battle. It was awesome to watch. And then the vet class, your class, in the over 40s, Corey Vanderlei. So isn't he a freak? He can definitely ride a bike. Matthew Fish and Peter Sullivan. So once again, Corey Vanderlei and Matthew Fish, they battled every moto, and in that last moto, I think they they actually made contact with one another 3 or 4 times. That was, some unbelievable racing in that class as well.
Yeah, and Corey really had to work for those wins too. I spoke to him after his little podium speech on Saturday, and he said, he goes, man, I'm terrible at these conditions, the long ruts and the he's more of a hold it wide open kind of guy. And he even said that. He goes, I really, really struggled with this track. And the other 2 guys really put it to him, a betting man would have had Corey, every day of the week. And then, he really he had his work cut out with those guys. So, that was awesome for the 40 plus guys. That pace was super high too.
Oh, totally. And, I think he's just waiting out for Blue Rock, which is his favourite track. And I would, if I was a betting man, I would say that he'll have a perfect record at Blue Rock. So those boys have to get as many points as they can against him in the meantime, I think.
Oh, yeah. I've raced a club day against him and his son Cody at the start of the year.
Yep.
And, he whooped me around Blue Rock, man.
Yeah.
He was gone. I was in second, and young Cody and I were battling out for second and third. But, Corey was gone. He's a weapon at Blue Rock, man.
He definitely is.
Yep.
And in the 30-plus expert vets, more great battles between Cody Russ and Al Lewis, with Russ winning 2 motos to Lewis's 1. So, awesome racing there. That was obviously your class. So, tell me a little bit about your races.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I had a little bit of hesitation early, I think, just with the track in terms of maybe attacking it a little bit. But, the first moto I got not the best to start. I think I was a little bit hesitant off the start because of that. And then, as I said, I was working my way through the pack and just blew too much energy trying to rush things. Made up a bunch of ground and then lost it in the end. But my Moto 2 and 3 were really good, man. I had sort of mid-pack starts and then just picked my way off. But I was really happy with the way I rode. The second moto, I found my flow. I was breathing right. I was off the brakes early in spots. I wasn't braking at all in some spots. So I was standing up through the ruts. I was doing everything that I do when I practice.
Yeah, yep.
And was good. So I was P7 in that one. And then the last moto is probably the best moto I've ever had all year. I got a better start. I think I had a bit more confidence off the start and was running in the top 5 for the first few laps. And then I ended up battling with Jory Hancock. He used to race the Nationals, I think, in 2010, 11, 12 on a Suzuki. And he's made a bit of a comeback. And, probably for about 4 laps, it was him and I going at it, passing each other. And I ended up tagging onto the back of him. But, I ended up P7 in that moto. But I was a lot closer to the fight, a lot closer to that sort of top 5, which is sort of where I want to be. So Cody Russ and Alistair, those guys are a fair bit faster again.
Yeah.
I definitely can't see myself, competing for race wins against those guys. Our lap times were like 1:59, 2 minutes. They were like 53, 54. They're a fair bit faster.
Oh, they're A-grade pace. Yep.
Yeah, and they're competitive A-grade guys too. And overall, Peter, I'm wrapped. Like I said, I think I learned how to ride the track better after the first moto because I blew myself up in the first one. I don't actually normally get arm pump when I'm riding smooth and feeling good. I don't get arm pump, and I couldn't even pull the clutch in mid moto, man.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the race, I literally came in the pits and almost had to peel my fingers off the handlebars. I pumped up that bad, that quick because I was rushing it, and I guess I was a little impatient. I was like, I want to get to the front, and I was riding a bit like a bit of a goose.
I mean, so easy to do on a track like that, though. We already mentioned, it got rough. It was very ruddy, and then with those uphills and downhills, so easy to just start hanging on super tight, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's weird because I had the same experience at Portland. My favourite moto track-wise was the third moto when it was the roughest, and I think for me it kind of slows the track down a little bit. It's not as wide open in spots. You've got to really ride around the bumps and it slows it down. And I think I actually preferred that
Yep.
I think with maturity now, like, because I know to ride the track to its conditions, rather than trying to attack it and rush it. And that's things I think now as a vet rider, that they're the things that I really get a kick out of now, Pete. It's no matter the track conditions, it's just finding that flow state and enjoying circulating rather than suffering or feeling like you're hanging on for dear life, or you know what it's like, when you're riding on the edge and you're just waiting to crash kind of thing. I get a lot of enjoyment out of finding a flow now, man. It's good, and that track in the end of the day was perfect for that.
Yeah, totally. So in the expert vet class, Adam Leachman, he rounded out the podium with consistent thirds across the board. And I did also want to mention in that class too, you also had some pretty good battles with Trent Dyer in a couple of those motos as well. Yeah, that was again, I was really enjoying watching that as well.
Yeah, so Trent was actually one of the people that passed me back in the first moto. I sort of rushed myself getting around him and a couple other guys, and he caught me sleeping. I thought I had a bit of a gap, and I thought, all right, I've worked my way into P6 or 7 or whatever, and I'll just coast home and get this moto done. And yeah, he came up and passed me with a lap or two to go, and yeah, he actually caught me sleeping, man. So hats off to Trent, man. He's gone all in, with his motorhome, and he's got a race bike and a practice bike, and he takes his family away every weekend with him, and they're all in, man. So yeah, I like to see good people have success.
And he was another crazy man that was entered in 3 classes over the weekend as well.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
That's funny. I did one class and had to peel myself off the couch Sunday. I could barely drive home. It was only a 2-hour drive.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was exhausted just watching you guys. So
yeah, I was cactus.
I can understand. And in the vet clubman class, Cam Bongers, Justin Legasic, and Sam Werner. Like we sort of said earlier with the C grade class in the vet clubman class, that like those guys are at a pretty damn high level.
Yeah. Yep, definitely. Yeah. See, I thought Cam Bongers was in the expert class because he was listed in front of me, or behind me in the expert class. So I didn't realise that he was in clubman.
Yeah, so he took out the clubman class. I think, if I heard that correctly, I think he has just made a comeback after some time off as well.
Yep. Yeah, I used to race Cam back in the day too. Yeah, we go way back.
Yep.
Yeah,
right.
Cool, man. No, that's I think hats off to MV, man. I think they've really this year gone all in trying to rejuvenate our championship and our series, and the effort is reaping its rewards, I believe. Like I said, we're 2 for 2 in terms of fantastic rounds, and yeah, like we've been lucky with the weather and everything too. But sometimes when preparation meets opportunity, that's what we call luck. And yeah, I think it's been really good to come back to this series this year with the excitement behind it, and I guess that level of prestige, kind of like we mentioned in the preview show. Yep. There seems to be a lot more hype around it this year, and it's great, man. It's good to be racing in Victoria at the moment.
Yeah, well, hats off to the MVMX committee. They are so dedicated and so passionate about, like you said, reviving this championship. And you can't say a bad word about the clubs that have hosted the round so far. At Portland, like you said, they did an amazing job, and at Ballarat as well. I was talking to Heath Kimber, which is Oskar Kimber's dad, who's on the committee at Ballarat, and they went out and bought new rippers and a new tiller specifically, to be able to make the best track possible for this round. So, the clubs are putting it in as well.
Yep, and it's been applauded widely.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
I think talking, like we already said, to every rider that I spoke to, it was that had been to Ballarat before was just blown away at how good that track was compared to years past. Yeah,
and that's the other exciting thing now is with the exception of people like yourself doing what you do in terms of the photography and the media, you get to live the weekend through the week, because you're seeing photos and videos and that are coming up, and it's I've already relived that day twice since you sent me my photos today. That's just I guess an added asset of what we're doing at the moment, man. Yeah, it's fun.
No, for sure. It's and it's nice to get amongst it and be a part of it. You know, if I was a better rider, I'd love to be out there. And look, I'm still quietly considering maybe doing Blue Rock as the last round. So
I think you'll do well at Blue Rock, man. I've watched you ride there, and I think you'll outdo yourself there, man. I think you'll surprise yourself.
Yeah, I just got to get used to doing these 15-minute motos, I think.
+1, yeah. I got fooled a couple of times watching the clock, and I said, oh, cool, down to 0-0, it's the last lap. And it's like, no, you've got to finish this lap, then it's the last lap,
Yeah.
And towards the end of the 15 minutes, I'm pretty beat. I'm pretty beat. Yeah.
So the last class to talk about on the Saturday is, of course, the Junior Lights. So that was taken out by Memphis Trevina. Amazing riding by him. He got 2 seconds and then got a win in the last moto. Unfortunate for Seb Bartlett. He won the first 2 motos and was looking really, really good. But, he had a tip over and hurt his shoulder, I believe. So he just sort of circulated for that last moto and dropped back quite a few positions and lost some points. And South Australian, Kai Little from the Go24 team. So he came over to race this round and, finished out the day on the third step of the podium. So, that's a really good effort for Kai. So
sorry to cut you off. What a cool concept that Go24 team is. Can you imagine being a kid watching Brett Metcalf on television as an AMA superstar, and now you're riding on a team with him. I just think even I didn't spoke indirectly to Mitch Norris, who rides for him over there in SA, and I heard him say the same thing. He's like, man, I idolise this guy. Watching him race AMAs, and now we're mates and we're teammates. I think that Go24 team that Brett's doing is one of the coolest things I reckon I've ever seen, man. Yep. Such a cool thing for those guys to experience that.
And I mean, I love that. On top of that, I love the livery. Like, I love the colours of the rat racing and the cowie.
Go the rat. Oh, yeah, go the rat.
Yeah, absolutely love that. Yeah. And that brings back, a lot of memories from when I watched like Dakar at the Supercross Masters. He used to wear the rat racing gear as well. So,
Yep.
Unreal.
Yeah,
so,
that's super cool, man. Brett's obviously an Aussie icon, but he's an icon around the world too.
Yeah.
He was definitely one of my favourite riders in his heyday. Especially when I was racing Suzukis, and he was on the Makita Suzuki bikes with Dungey and all that. They were they were the glory days, man. Medi's a living legend.
Yeah, and he doesn't toot his own horn, but how good has his career been? Like, he's definitely been one of the best Australian motocross and supercross riders that we've ever had.
Well, this year for Brett is actually they're calling it 24 for 24. So this is 24 years as a professional racer in 2024, God. And his number is 24.
Yeah.
So to be a professional for 24 years, it's almost 2.5 decades.
Yeah. Well, I think I saw that he won a round of the Supercross Masters in 2001.
Yeah, he came back over. Yep. So I think he was riding Yamaha of Troy at the time. And I think he might have come back and rode a CBR bike. I think I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was about 10, but...
Yeah, that's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah. It's super cool, man.
Yeah, and you could say the same. Noah James, who finished 4th in the Junior Lights, he's part of the Raceline Husqvarna junior program as well, and those guys are being mentored by Todd Waters. So for those guys, it's sort of the same experience as well. Todd's another sort of icon of Australian racing. So how good is it for these juniors to get these opportunities?
Even as an adult, man, I get a kick out of seeing that. I would love to be coached by Todd Waters, man, and I'm 33. That's so good. And the way that these guys are coming up, little Lewis J. Carafa's on that team, and Noah, and these kids are all got a lot of talent and bright futures. So to see them get the guidance from someone like Todd, who's raced MXGPs, he's raced all over the world, Aussie champion. It's good to see that talent being nurtured the way you'd like it to.
Yeah, totally. And in the Junior Lights B grade, so we'll just recap the results. Archie Hyde, great to see him back, and finding his form. So he took out the win in the Junior Lights B grade. Troy Nolan and Xander Guica. And in the C grade Junior Lights, one of those riders, I guess we sort of were inferring of before, Zane Hohouse. He's only been racing for a couple of years, but he is definitely a bit of a prodigious talent. At the C grade level, Caleb Harris and Dallas Haynes rounding out the podium in the Junior Lights.
Congrats to the boys, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, have you seen Zane Hohouse ride?
I actually haven't, Pete. No, sorry, I'm not familiar.
Yeah, I won't dwell on it.
Point him out to me at round 3. Yeah.
Yeah, man, he's the guy that's pulling whips and scrubs, and he's just got one of those styles that it's just fun to watch.
Definitely point him out then, yeah.
and he always knows where the camera is.
Sounds like me.
Yeah. All right.
That's funny. Yeah.
All right, we can't keep this podcast going for too long, so we'll definitely speed things up a little bit when we cover Sunday, Dino, if that's all right with you.
Yeah. We don't want people losing interest.
Exactly, and we've got some riders to interview, so we'll get through it. Not to take anything away from the efforts of the riders on the Sunday.
No, of course not.
No, so we'll start with MX2 C grade. Judd Chislett, Jack Silcock, who also rode well in the All Powers the day before, and Caden Raymond. They were the top 3 in MX2 C grade. So in MX2 B grade, Oskar Kimber took out the win. I said, we'll be interviewing him a little bit later. Charlie Roos, that name again, that's his second podium.
There he is.
For the weekend in a separate class. And Hunter Rich rounded out that one with a third place.
Yep.
And in MX...
Shame to see, Carl. Shame to see Austin Boyd go down.
Yes.
He was obviously battling for wins with Oskar, and I believe he's okay, but a little bit banged up.
Yeah, no, he's. I've heard that he's okay. But yeah, he rode around the first 2 motos just to get points, and then unfortunately had to retire for the third because, I think he was just a little bit too banged up to go out again for the last one. So wishing him all the best. Yeah.
Yeah, he was moving and shaking on Saturday, so yeah, he definitely would have been a contender for Sunday.
Yeah, well, hopefully he can get back and keep battling, especially with Oskar. Those two have an amazing rivalry, an awesome rivalry sort of happening, and it'd be good to see them finish out the rest of the championship with those more of those battles. Yep. And MX2A grade, the guy that didn't race the first round, Ty Keane, another win for him this weekend on the 250 this time. Yeah, unbelievable ride. Apparently he was an amazing junior.
Yeah, so he was part of Lee Hogan's BCP program.
Oh, yeah.
For, I believe, the last 2 years of his junior career. So he had that junior factory Honda ride with Hogs. And I think moving into seniors, I'm not sure where he landed, whether or not he got a ride or not. But, it's really good to see him back.
Totally. And he just seems to be getting better and better each weekend, both at the VIX now and even during the Pro MX season. He's getting better results with each round. So that's awesome to see. And he's a lovely kid as well.
He's actually been doing a little bit of off-road stuff too, I've seen. I think he's done a couple of the Vic roads, and I'm going to take a shot here, and I think he's maybe even doing Hatter too.
Yes, yep. I think I heard the same thing. Yep.
Yeah, so, power to him, man. He's putting himself in all the right spots.
George Knight, second place in MX2 A grade, and Mac O'Bree. So the
Elliott brothers boys.
I was about to say, 1, 2, 3 for the Elliott bros. They'll be stoked with that.
Gas, clean sweep.
They will be pumped with that.
Good on them, man.
Yep. MX1 C grade, Alex East, Jack Sheether, and Brendan Loschel. So they went 1, 2, 3. MX1 B grade, first place Ryan Kenny. In second place, so that's 3 second places for the weekend across 3 different classes, Charlie Roos. Like, how good is that?
Second? Did he get second?
Second, yeah. So that's 3 second places for him.
What a legend, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a legend.
Man, I would like just, a touch of that fitness, and I would be I'd be happy. enough of that fitness to do one class, and I'd be stoked.
Yep. Yeah, I'll be just as stoked, man. Yeah.
And Will McGannon in third. So MX1 A grade, Bryce Ognenis took out the win, but he didn't have it all his own way this time. Liam Jackson put it to him in the first moto.
Awesome.
To take the win. Yeah, so that was some unreal battles between those two in Moto 1. And then Liam, unfortunately, went down in Moto 2 while leading. And, Jacob Sweet took advantage of that. And he ended up with a Moto win in Moto 2. Bryce Ognenis got second there. And Liam, I think, ended up with a fifth or a sixth, unfortunately, for him. But, yeah, he definitely would have been up there and could have put the Elliott Bros up there in this class as well.
Yeah, well, Liam's just coming back from, I believe it was a wrist injury. Shoulder injury. Yeah, missed the first few rounds of the Nationals. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Liam too. He's a silky smooth rider. I think once he gets back on his feet, he'll be, especially if he does the last two rounds of the Vic titles, he'll be mixing it up for wins for sure.
Yeah, and, just as a bit of a testament to his speed, he's been in the Super Pole in the last two Pro MXs as well, so he definitely knows how to throw down a hot lap. And, and he's knocking on the door of the top 10 in the MX1 class, so at the Pro MX level. So, he's lifted his game over the last couple of years for sure. And then, Bryce was back on the top step for Moto 3. And Liam finished second there, and I spoke to him afterwards. He was pretty banged up and bruised up. And, he was happy with his second, and just said, the way he was feeling, he wasn't able to put it to Bryce. And I think Bryce was definitely pretty determined to get that win in that last moto as well.
Yeah, it's always a point to prove when you run that big number one plate, but. It's good to see Liam Jackson, even at the Pro MX. That's just an example of how high the bar is, obviously at our state titles. And, Bryce has been in the top 15. I think Bryce was P11 overall in the MX1 class at the last round at Maitland.
Yeah.
So, that's just an example of the pace.
Yeah, and the fact that they're actually mixing it up as well. And, Jacob Sweet, Seager Ward, he got 2/3 over the weekend as well. So they're all mixing it up. There is a lot of talent and a lot of pace in this MX1 A grade class.
A couple of those SA boys I've seen in there. Seager Ward is from SA, and Levi McManus, number 10.
Yep.
A couple of South Australians to come over and race that class too, which is really cool.
Yeah, and it's good to see Riley Futchko. He finished up, I think, the day in 7th or 8th. In 7th. Good to see him with another solid ride. He's had a few rough ones. Rough ones.
Yeah,
lately.
I think it took him a little bit to adjust to the new KTM. I think.
Yep.
I remember saying when he jumped on the winner team, I think he was one of the last riders that they signed, and had very little time to get to know the bike before really racing it. So. I think now that he's got a couple of races under his belt and he's obviously got to know the bike and the team a bit better, it's good to see him put in a good result. He's another one of those riders that I really enjoy watching. From a fundamental perspective, his technique is great. So
yeah, and he's got Riley. Raw speed as well. He's got that. He can definitely throw down a heater as well.
Yep.
Actually, talking to him, so he was a last-minute addition to that winner team. Apparently, it was just after they saw him ride at the AMX Open earlier this year.
Literally,
that they decided to approach him and see if he wanted to be part of it. So he was pumped with that. Rider, just thought I'd throw it in. A rider that we mentioned earlier, Andrew Wilkes. So he got a 3rd and a 4th in the first two motos, and unfortunately, he went down in that last one as well. So he didn't score any points in that last moto. He had to retire. So again, he was riding really, really well on the Sunday in the MX1 class on his enduro bike.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good on him, man. Yeah, that was cool to see him out
there. For sure. And shout out to Alistair Lewis. So 12th in the MX1 class. So he's, of course, one of the expert vet riders. And again, it just sort of shows the the talent that we've got across the pool and how good those vet guys are. You know, a lot of people on the outside looking in might think that they're old men, but some of those guys can ride.
Yeah, I can vouch for that because Alistair's whooped me at every round. So yeah,
so
every round I've ever raced him, I reckon. So both him and his brother Huey, they're both good ripper dudes. But yeah, they know their way around a half cabana, that's for sure.
All good. Well, we've kept this going on. I'll better get to some rider interviews. It's been absolutely awesome having you on the line again, Dean. And hopefully I will catch you at the next senior round. You're going to be doing the whole.
Yeah, you will. I'll be looking for a big jump to get you in front of to throw a whip for a photo.
I'll have to let you know where I am. Before the moto, and then you can lay one down.
Mid-moto photo cross.
That's it. So, thanks again.
Pleasure, Pete.
Thanks for
having me. Thanks for obviously supporting the series and helping elevate the profiles of up-and-coming riders. And I think giving people the experience, you know, to speak in front of a camera or do an interview, it's character building for people. It's profile building. It's elevating our sport. It's elevating our riders. And it's just a pleasure to be a part of. So, thanks, Mentals Komodo. Thanks, Pete. And, I'll see you at round 3.
I really appreciate that, Dean. And it's contagious and it's across the board. Like, I've loved the vibe across all the rounds so far, both at the senior and junior level. And, I'm just trying to match all the effort that the clubs are putting in and the MVMX committee as well. So, it's great to be a part of it. It's great to chat with you guys. And I just love moto.
Yeah, you and me together, man.
Too easy, man. Well, thanks again, and we'll catch up again soon.
Thanks, Pete. See ya.
All right, well, it's time to chat to some riders. Thanks again to Dino for coming on the pod. Always love chatting to that guy. So the first rider we're going to speak to for this episode is going to be Oskar Kimber. Of course, he took out the B-grade All Powers and the MX2 B-grade class on the Sunday. So, let's get him on the line. All right, on the line we have Oskar Kimber. Welcome to the Peter Stevens Vic MX Recap Show, Oskar. How are you going?
Thank you. Good, thank you. Thank you for having me, Pete.
No, my pleasure. Have you recovered from the weekend?
Yeah, I'm all good. Not sore anymore.
Oh, that's awesome, man. For the listeners, just to kick things off, how old are you and whereabouts are you from?
I'm 16 and I'm from just out of Ballarat, Napoleon.
Yep. So is this your first year in seniors, obviously?
Yep, first year.
Yep, and Ballarat's your home track.
Yeah, I live about 8 minutes from it, so pretty close.
Oh, too easy. Well, the track conditions on the weekend were absolutely amazing, but chatting with your dad, he told me the track was prepped a little bit differently. Was it different to what you're used to riding there?
Yeah, to be honest, that's probably me and all like the Ballarat boys that sort of live there. My mates from Ballarat never rode ones like that, never. Normally it's pretty hard to make out many ruts, but on the weekend there was heaps of ruts, heaps of different lines.
Yeah, so did you enjoy that more?
Oh, yeah, the track was the best I've ever rode. It had so much fun.
Yeah, it produced some pretty amazing racing as well. So what did they do differently this time?
I think just a couple different people on the track, like Begbie and my dad, obviously, Tuddy and all that, just got out there and actually ripped it this time, ripped it pretty deep, more than usual. Normally they just sort of tickle the top, but my dad and all that just sort of ripped it properly.
Yeah, I think your dad said they've got new rippers and a new tiller or something like that as well.
Yeah, that's it. New rippers, the tiller, and then everyone just hung out watering during the week.
Yeah, well, it definitely did the job. You mentioned it briefly during your podium interview, but you also had a couple of mechanical issues in the lead up to the weekend, and it very nearly didn't happen for you. What happened there?
Yeah, so on the weekend before, we raced at Maitland Pro MX, and the bike blew up in that Saturday.
Yep.
And then I was riding that practice bike during the week, and that blew up on Wednesday. So on Friday, I didn't even think I was racing on Friday night, to be honest, because I was away Friday night.
Yep.
And then Dad sent me a picture of this bike, and it was, thankfully Tommy Campers came through and bought it for us. So thank you very much to them.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so glad that you're able to make it. But was that a bit of a shock, like to be able to, or to find out that you had to race the next day?
Yeah, well, if I knew I was either going to be there, race one of my mates' bikes, or I was going to ride the 125 that I've still got from juniors. But it was good to ride a proper bike, thankfully.
Yeah, did you get a chance to set it up and put your suspension on it, or did you just ride it stock as it came?
Nah, we because my bike was over at Bolton's, my race bike, getting repaired. So they threw all the suspension and triple clamp on it from the race bike onto that one.
Oh, perfect. Well, I kind of alluded to it already by saying that you spoke about that on the podium. But as far as your own races went, starting with the All Powers on the Saturday, tell me about your weekend a little bit.
Yeah, so All Powers was definitely the funnest sort of races this weekend. Had some good battles with Austin Boyd. Their first race, all right start, and then just battled with Austin the whole race and ended up getting him half lap. And then did the exact same in that second race.
Yep.
And then the third race was right behind him the whole race. That was probably my closest race I've been to him. And then just jumping up the hill, tagged his back wheel and went down. So picked it up and rode to second place.
Yeah, but you still ended up with the first place overall.
Yeah.
Yep. You guys seem pretty close with a bit of banter on the gate. Have you guys had a lot of battles over the years, and are your mates off the bike?
Yeah, definitely. We're pretty good mates, me and Austin, and it seems to be wherever we end up, wherever we go, we're always battling. Like Maitland, Promex, I was battling with him in all three races. So
yeah, oh, that's unreal.
Yep.
It's always cool, but it was definitely, I think, one of the highlights of the weekend watching you guys battle. You were really close in every race, especially on the Saturday.
Yeah, definitely. Like after every race weekend, normally everyone tells us how entertaining our races are, me and Austin, and that's good.
That's so cool. And what about on the Sunday? So you raced MX2 B grade on the Sunday. Tell me a little bit about your Sunday.
Yeah, so Sunday I ended up getting number one in qualifying, which I was stoked on. So then that first moto, Austin got a good start and he went down early in that race. So I just got the lead and then just sort of rode my race from there. And then he was a bit sore for the last two races, so I ended up getting the win in all three of those races, thankfully.
Yeah, unreal. So in the All Powers B, you're second in the championship. I think you're 3 points back from Austin. And in MX2B, you're leading the championship, I think, by about 28 points. Have you won Vic titles before?
Yeah, I won B grade 125 title and then second in the 250 B grade title. And that was the only Vic titles I've won.
Yeah, so how many times have you raced the Vics? Assuming you've done it as a junior?
Yeah, I think I've raced for 4 years maybe, because I went CBA and I've raced all 4 years in Vics, yeah.
Yep. So what are your thoughts about this year's championship so far?
What was that, sorry?
So what are your thoughts about this year's championship so far and the 2 rounds that we've had?
No, the 2 rounds we've had, we've been pretty lucky with the track. Heaps of different routes, heaps of different passing lines, and honestly, I've had such a great fun battling with the boys. Sucks Balin wasn't there on the weekend, but yeah, it's been good so far.
Yeah, well, hopefully he's able to make it back for round 3. It'd be great to see you guys battle as well. Yeah,
no, it would be. Good fun.
Well, really appreciate you coming on the show. Before we wind it up, is there anyone that you'd like to thank?
Yes, definitely. I'd like to thank Tommy Campers, obviously. Advanced Cranes, they help out a lot. My mum and dad, True Sports, Hyde Bros Racing for all they do doesn't go unnoticed. Bolton's Motorcycles and Choice Suspension.
Oh, well, thanks so much for coming on the show, and I'll look forward to hopefully watching you guys battle again at round 3.
Yes, definitely. I hope so.
Thanks, Oskar.
Thank you, Pete.
Thanks, Oskar. And our final guest for this episode of the Peter Stevens Vic MX Recap Show is going to be Kai Little. Kai is one of the riders who has come across from South Australia to compete in the Victorian Motocross Championship. He's currently competing in the Junior Lights class. So let's get him on. Welcome to the Vic MX Recap Show, Kai. How are you going?
Yeah, good, thanks.
That's good. Dean Mosig and I spoke a little bit about you earlier in the show. But for the listeners, how old are you and whereabouts are you from?
I'm 14. I'm from SA. I'm turning 15 in June.
Oh, yep. And you raced the Junior Lights A-grade class at Ballarat last weekend, is that right?
Yep, A-grade.
Yep. You've also done the first 2 rounds of the Junior Vic titles. How come we didn't see you racing the first senior round at Portland a few weeks ago?
Oh, to be honest, we didn't even know about it. Like, we were out on a ride day in SA, obviously, and seeing on Instagram or something that was on, we're like, oh, I missed that one.
Yeah, yeah, that happens. You are a fair way away. So
Yeah.
how did your weekend at Ballarat go? Talk me through your races.
Oh, it was pretty good. Felt good in practice. Like, yeah, felt my flow and was going good. In the first race, I had a bit of a struggle at the start. I didn't get the best jump, and then obviously it's a new track for me, so I'm not very
You're still learning.
don't know the layout real well. Yeah, and the first corner came up real tight than I thought.
Yep.
And I went way too wide and got passed by a few people. And then on the second corner, I was in a rut behind some kid and he crashed. So I couldn't really go anywhere, and I had everyone pack's gone now.
Yep.
And I had to get back and go around. So I came from dead last then, but I rode pretty well that race. Well, I thought I did, and I got back to third. And then the second race, I got a good start. I was second, and I was going pretty good. And then I eventually got past, and I got third that race. Just a couple of silly mistakes let me down. But yeah, and then in the third race, I was sitting third, and then obviously something happened to Seb, but I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I think he went down in the corner after the rollers.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, so then he was pretty sore. It looked like he was just rolling around. And then I got into second for that race for third overall.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a good weekend. There were lots of good battles happening, sort of everywhere on the track. Did you find yourself having some close races with anyone else in the class?
Yeah, especially the first race, because obviously I had to make my way through the whole pack. There were lots of battles and things I had to people I had to pass and stuff, but it's an awesome track for passing, many different lines on it. So it was a good track to race on.
Yeah, it definitely gave some options to get a little bit creative as well with the way the track formed up, the ruts, and even just the layout.
Yeah, just very hilly, heaps different to what normal racetrack is. So it's good fun.
Yeah. So what were your thoughts on the track in general and the way it formed up?
I loved it. Big jumps, big long up ramps, real hilly. Ruts were awesome. Big deep ruts. Yeah, I thought it was awesome. Real tacky.
Yeah. And did it form up differently to the tracks that you've raced at the Junior Vic title so far?
Yeah, a lot different. The first Junior at Cobram, that was quite hard packed and flat and skatey sort of thing.
Yeah.
Not very technical track. It was pretty just flat out. And then, where was the second round? Currumborough?
Currumborough, yep.
Yeah, Currumborough. That was an awesome track. Real technical, big, long, deep ruts. That was a good track. So, yeah, but this one, I don't know, it was sort of in between. It had a bit of Currumborough ruts here and there, but it wasn't as ruddy. It was a good track, though.
Yeah, and by the end of the day, it even got a little bit square edgy in sections as well.
Yeah,
I could see some kickers on some of those up ramps that you guys would have had to be careful about.
Yeah, especially the one at the top of that hill before you go downhill. That had a big kicker on that you had to be careful of.
Yeah, that's the one that caught out Wilson Greener-Daesh in the the MX1 A grade class.
Yeah.
Yep. Are the tracks that you're racing on the Vic titles, are they similar or different to the tracks that you race back at home in South Australia?
I'd say they're fairly different. SA is more sandy, loamy kind of stuff, most of the tracks.
Yep.
We don't have a whole heap, but they're they're a lot softer. Ruts don't form up as much in SA, because obviously sand, it's more berm kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Berms everywhere, but over in Vic, it's sort of a bit more hard packed and I don't know what kind of dirt it is, real sticky dirt over in Victoria. Most of the tracks, way better ruts. You just got to get used to it, I guess.
So tell me, it's a long way to travel for you guys. How come you're making the effort to come all the way over to Victoria to race the Vic titles?
Oh, well, there's not really much going on in SA. There's hardly ever races on the weekends, and just more, over there, more experience racing, new kids, lot better level of riders over there, and obviously new tracks. So if there's nothing on in SA, you might as well go over there and get more experience.
Yeah, and you're obviously racing the MX3 class at the Pro MX Championship as well. as the Vic titles, and I imagine you're racing everything you can over in South Australia. What's your sort of goal, long-term goal with racing?
Oh, hopefully one day I can be an Australian champion. Just got to keep ticking off till then.
Yeah, unreal. Well, you're off to a good start.
Yeah, thank you.
We touched on it a bit earlier in the show as well, but you're racing for Brett Metcalf's Go24 team. Tell me a little bit about that and the support you get and what it involves.
Yeah, that's been awesome. Like, just being with Brett under the tent on race days, through the week, getting coached by him, it's just been unreal. Like, he's been everywhere, America, Europe. Like, yeah, it's really good. He's not very knowledgeable.
Yeah, and so do they just provide you with the bike and the mechanic, or like?
No, they do like we get my bike through Coast Power Sports.
Yep.
And my mechanic is Aaron Danny from Performance Motor. He's super good. But through Brett, we just get like obviously Rat, Fist, all that stuff, Penrite.
Yeah.
We get our all little sponsors here and there, like that help us out, stands, toolboxes, and all that. Everything pretty much they help us with.
Yeah, and obviously you get to tap into the wealth of knowledge that is Brett Metcalf as well. So
yeah, that's the biggest thing about it. Like being with Brett on race days or in track walk with him is just he's been everywhere, like I said, so he knows it all, and it's awesome.
Yeah. So what does your midweek program sort of look like as far as training on the bike and off the bike?
Usually like Monday I'll be unpacking the van and cleaning up everything from the weekend or whatever. And then we'll usually ride Tuesdays after school. And then Wednesdays I won't ride. And then Thursday we usually take the day off of school and go out to like say Monardo, Muybridge or something to ride there for the day with Brett and the team.
So you do that almost every week?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's awesome.
Yeah, good training. Good training program.
Yeah, and then you're racing pretty much every weekend, aren't you?
Yeah, pretty much.
Awesome, man. Well, before we wrap up, is there anyone else that you'd like to mention or to thank?
Big thanks to Aaron from Performance Moto. Like, that's, really helpful. He does all my mechanical work and suspension. He's awesome. Penrite, Rat Racing, Fierce, Coast Power Sports, Kawasaki Australia, Go24, all of them. It's a big help.
No, unreal. You got a big team behind you. So, good luck with the rest of the championship, and hopefully we see you at the rest of the rounds.
Yeah, thank you.
No, thanks, Kai. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And that just about wraps up another episode of the Vic MX Recap Show. This one for round 2 of the Senior Vic titles that took place at Ballarat. Thanks again to Dean Mosig for coming on the show and co-hosting, as well as our guests for this episode, Kai Little and Oskar Kimber. Before we go, I'd also like to give a shout out. I didn't catch his name, but the flaggy in Station 14 out at Ballarat. He said he listens to every episode, so we'll see if he's listening to this one. Thanks to Peter Stevens and Moto Cred and the Inside Dirt Network for all partnering to be part of this podcast. On behalf of Mental for Moto, I've been your host, Pete Wolf. Until next time, see ya.